Welcome everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to make one of my absolute favorite classic recipes that I love for Thanksgiving. White bread stuffing muffins. Now this recipe is an old family recipe that my mom made all the time for Thanksgiving. Heck, I never even knew what cornbread stuffing was. But I do now and I love it. Anyway, I'm going to show you, first off, how we're going to take our favorite loaf of white bread and then we're going to turn it into these cubes that we're going to dry out. Let's go ahead and get started with that. The first thing that we're going to want to do is dry out our bread overnight. I just have a loaf of white bread. I'm just going to cut it into about 1-inch pieces. I'm just using a bread knife. That way it makes nice cuts. It doesn't smash the bread. And just cut it very gently. We're going to put the pieces into a large bowl. Now if you want, you can cut off the crust and just use those for breadcrumbs for any other dish, but we're keeping these on. Gives it a nice texture. So this was a whole loaf of bread. We're going to place a towel over our bread and we're going to set it aside. Every so often I'm going to come in before I go to bed and just flip the bread around in the bowl just to kind of air it out. I've got my Thanksgiving shirt on. You're going to see it every time I make a dish for you guys. I'm super excited. I love Thanksgiving. It is the favorite holiday that I love. I guess because of all the dishes that you can make and the cooking that you do, the pies that you make. Okay, I've got my bread sitting here. It was left overnight. Next, make the aromatics for this. We've got 1 yellow onion, 3 carrots, and 2 celery sticks. So let's go ahead and start preparing that. I'm going to take my onion, I'm going to cut off the ends. Okay, I know if you're watching this and you love Thanksgiving, you love to bring out all your good stuff, right? You love to bring out those delicious ingredients and start making dishes. Who doesn't? I'm just cutting the outer layer of my onion off. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays. I love it. We're giving thanks for everything and then making delicious food. We're going to cut the onion in half. I'm just going to be using half of the onion. So I'm going to place this one off to the side. We can use that for something else. I'm just going to take my knife and I am just going to make slices. You just want to go 3/4 of the way to the end of your onion. You don't want to chop it all the way through. And just make thin slices. We're going to prop our onion up. Now I'm just going to slice about 3/4 of the way through the onion 2 times. Then I'm just going to lay it down, run my knife through it in little dices. I'm going to bring my celery over. Now I have 2 stalks. Now look at the flowers on the end of that. That's going to add some delicious flavor. If you can get that on your celery, then go ahead and get that. I'm just going to cut off the ends here. Let's go to the end and make very thin strips, because these are going to be our dices. And then just take your knife and run it through. This recipe goes way back. I only knew white bread stuffing for the longest time because that's what we had all the time. Now, when I met my husband, he likes cornbread stuffing because that's what he grew up with. And so we got together and created a recipe for cornbread stuffing. And the one we use has sausage in it. And I actually have made that before for you guys, but I will link it down below if you haven't seen that one before. Okay, let me know down in the description box which is your favorite, white bread stuffing or cornbread stuffing. I like both. I make a lot for Thanksgiving. I make a lot of dishes. I love to have them in the refrigerator as leftovers. Yep, and just dig through it for days. I have a traditional Thanksgiving video out there that I did years ago for you guys. If you want to go check that out, I'll link it down below also. It was one of the first ones I did for you. And I got my whole family involved, so go check it out. Even my mom was in that too. I've got 3 carrots. I'm going to peel them. I'm just going to cut off the ends. I'm just going to cut these into pieces like that. I'm going to bring over my chopper. This is a great tool to have in the kitchen, especially when you're chopping a lot of vegetables, especially for the holiday season. I'm just going to take the carrot that I've chopped up here, place it on there. Yeah, let it do all the work for you. That's it. Now you could do this with the onion and you can also do this with the celery, but sometimes I just like to get my hands onto a knife and just start chopping, right? Who doesn't? I have a large skillet over medium-high heat. I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of butter. This is going to give some nice flavor. Now it's Thanksgiving, so of course we're going to add some butter to that. Lots of butter. I'm going to bring this to a sizzle, melt the butter really good. We're going to go ahead and add our carrots. They're going to take the longest to cook. I'm going to go ahead and get those started. We're going to cook these down for 3 to 4 minutes. If that's good, we're going to go ahead now and add our celery and onions. Okay, we're going to cook this for another 3 minutes until the celery and the onions are nice and softened. And the carrots are as soft as you want them. That's the whole trick to these, is those carrots. Oh, those aromatics, those are great, huh? Perfect. Oh, it just brings in Thanksgiving for sure. Once these are done, we're going to go ahead and turn off the burner. We're going to start seasoning. I have half a teaspoon of salt. Half a teaspoon of black pepper. We've got a 1/4 teaspoon of thyme. Half a teaspoon of dried rosemary. 1/4 teaspoon of dried sage. 2½ teaspoons of dried parsley. I'm just going to mix this all together. Now we're going to add our broth to the vegetables. You want about 3 cups. Now I'm making my own from this Better Than bouillon. This is a vegetable flavoring and it's so delicious. I like this flavor better than chicken broth. It's just got that much more flavor to it. But you can use Better Than bouillon with the chicken in it if you want to do that. Or if you can just get it out of a box, you just need 3 cups. We're going to go ahead and add this into our vegetables. Just going to mix this all together. Now at this point, what you want to do is get a spoon, taste your seasonings and your broth and your flavorings, and make sure That's how you want your stuffing to taste like, because I mean, once you make your stuffing and bake them, you can't go back and fix it, okay? So check it now. Oh my gosh. There's Thanksgiving in the pot right there. It's so warm, so comforting. I just want to put some noodles in there, make some soup. That would be really good. Okay, I've got my dried bread cubes. I'm just going to place half of them into a large bowl. I'm going to use a bowl bigger than the bowl that I had them in. That way we can really get a good mix on it, because this was filled to the top with breadcrumbs. What I'm going to do now is take half of that mixture. I'm going to pour it over the bread. I'm just going to take my wooden spoon and just kind of move it around. You don't want to smush too much. We still want it to have texture. Then I'm going to add about another third of the bread. I'm doing it in batches, that way it can all absorb that liquid. There we go. I'll put about half of what's left. Kind of give this a mix. Pull from the bottom. I'm going to add the rest of the bread cubes. And then I'm going to put the rest of that mixture over the breadcrumbs. All right, let's mix this all up. And then just keep pulling the bread from the bottom to the top until you get a nice mix, until everything, you want all of the bread coated. Look at the colors in there. Oh, this brings back the memories for sure. Now, if you feel like it is not wet enough for your liking, you can add some more broth, but just be careful because you don't want these too mushy. But this is perfect. Well incorporated. Let's go make the muffins. We're going to be using a 12-cup standard muffin tin. I'm going to spray each muffin tin with some non-stick cooking spray. I'm using a half measuring cup, and I'm just going to put the stuffing into it. And then I'm going to start filling the cups with that measurement. You want it mounded, but you don't want to smash in either. Do not smash. I bet the last one always has all the good stuff. Because it gets everything from the bottom of the bowl, right? Okay, we have the 12. I've got my oven preheating at 350 degrees. We're going to cover these muffins with some foil, and what I did was I just sprayed the back side of the foil with some non-stick cooking spray. We're going to bake this for 45 minutes. Then I'm going to take the foil off, put it back in the oven, cook it an additional 15 minutes until the bread is nice and golden brown on the top and has a little crust on it. I'll be back. Aren't these the cutest white bread stuffing muffins? Let's take a look at one. How about this one right here? Everybody gets their own little serving. Oh, look how delicious that looks. Y'all ready for me to try one? Oh gosh. Those seasonings in there makes it all, oh my gosh. The celery, carrots, and onion flavored in those seasonings and that veggie broth. That's so delicious. It's very moist on the inside, and the top layer is very kind of crunchy, and it's got a nice golden brown color to it. Where's the turkey? How fun is it going to be to make these? I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving. I have tons more to bring you before we get to Thanksgiving anyway. I will see you on the next episode.